This is Module 2, Engage New York, Module 2, Lesson 1, Concept Development. We are going to be using a place value chart to help us understand multiplication with multi-digit numbers. Let's go back to our objective for today. I can multiply multi-digit whole numbers and multiples of 10 using place value patterns and the distributive and associative properties. Okay, so let's break this number up. Let's break up 4 times 30 into 4 times 3 tens. Well, 4 times 3 tens is equal to how many tens? 12 tens, right? So what is the standard form of 12 tens? Well, the standard form of 12 tens is 120. So place value, there are 12 tens in the place value chart. So the place value is equal to 12 tens in the chart up here. You would have 12 tens, and you know you'd have to move one over, right? All right. Now, let's go over down here to 4 tens times 3 tens. What would that, how many tens would that equal? You guys know? 12 tens. Oh, wait, sorry. 12 to, it would, 10 times 10 would be hundreds. 12 hundreds, pardon me. So 10 times 10 would give us hundreds. So first, multiply 4 times 3, and it's going to give you 12. Number 2, second, multiply 10 by 10s. Multiply 10 by 10, which equals hundreds. So 12 hundreds is equal to 1,200. Are you guys writing this down? Are you making sure to take notes? Okay, perfect. All right, let's go to number 3. Let's go 4 tens times 3 hundreds. Now this is where that distributive property comes in. Now watch. 4 times 10 and times 3 times 100. Now this is distributive property. Watch this. 4 times 3 and 10 times 100. That's actually what we've been doing, is the distributive property. So this is the same thing as what we were doing up here. So 4 times 3, that's what we did here, 4 times 3, right? So 4 times 3 equals 10. Step number 2. So if this is step 1, here is step 2. 10 times 100. All right, now let's go ahead and solve it. So 12 times 1,000 becomes 12,000. All right, let's go to problem 4 and see if this pattern still works. So let's go 4 thousands times 3 tens. Now let's go 4 times 1,000 times, or multiplied by 3 times 10. So see how we're breaking this number up. Now let's distribute. Let's pass out. So 4 times 3, 4 times 3, and 1,000 times 10. Now let's go ahead and multiply. 4 times 3 is 12 times 1,000 plus 10 is going to give us 10,000. 10,000 is going to give us 12 times 12,000. 10,000 is going to give us 120,000. All right, give me a thumbs up and let me know how you're doing on this idea. All right, so now let's take this. So let's go 60 times 5, which is really the same as 6 times 10 times 5 times 1. Excuse me. So 6 times 5, remember first number to first number, 10 times 1 right here becomes 30 times 10, which becomes 300. All right, let's do the numbers. Let's do number 6. So 60 times 50. So let's go 6 times 10 times 5 times 10. Now we're going to distribute. First number times first number. Second number times second number. So we're going to go 6 times 5 times 10 times 10, which becomes 30 times 100, which becomes 3,000. Yes? Give me a thumbs up. Let me know how you're doing with this concept. Okay, so when we change the order of the factors, we are using the commutative property. So just so you know, the word commutative, the commutative property means order. It doesn't, when you're multiplying or adding, you can always use the commutative property because it doesn't matter the order in which you are multiplying or adding the numbers. It doesn't matter if 5 is in front or 60 is in back. It doesn't matter the order because you're still going to end up with the same number. But when we group factors differently, we are using the associative property of multiplication. So let's go up here. The associative property says grouping. So it's how you put something together. So, and most of the time, you group numbers that are easily added together or multiplied together. You're going to take some numbers and group them so that they're easy to work with. That's the whole idea about the associative property. So let me give you an example of 6 times 5 times 10. 6 times 5 times 10. Well, 6 times 5 is 30 times 10, right? Is 300. But you could also would it be easier to go 60 times 5 or 50 times 6? Well, actually, because you know your multiplication facts that 6 times 5 is 30, it's easily you can multiply more quickly by grouping 6 times 5 times 10. 6 times 5, which gives you 30, times 10, which gives you 300. That's the idea about grouping numbers so that they're easily multiplied together. All right. Now, let's go on to problem 6, 60 times 500. Problem 7, I'm sorry. So let's pull this number apart. So 6 times 10 times 5 times 100. So essentially, when we're distributing, we're trying to find a new way to group them to multiply them together. So if we group 6 times 5 times 10 times 100, you get 30 times 1,000, which ends up giving you 30,000. All right. Last problem for this section. Remember, you have place value charts. If you want to use the place value charts to help you, you can always do that. Problem 8, we have 6 times 10 times 5 times 1,000. So 6 times 5 and 10 times 1,000 is going to give us 6 times 5 times 10 times 1,000, which is going to give us 30 times 10,000, which is going to give us 300,000. All right. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know how you're doing. If you're doing all right, thumbs to the side if you're not quite sure. All right. So 451 times 8. So let's use the distributive property to pull this number out. So let's go 400 times 8, because now we're going to distribute an 8 to each one of those. So let's go 400 plus 8. Okay. Plus 50 times 8. So I'm pulling it apart into, because remember, this is 400 plus 50 plus 1. And now we're going to multiply by 8. We're going to distribute this number all the way out, okay? So now we're going to add it to 8. So we did 8 times 400 times 8, 50 times 8, and then 1 times 8. Now, I'm going to put parentheses around those so that I know I'm keeping my number straight. So if it helps you to pull the number apart, 400 plus 50 plus 1, do it. Now we have 4 times 8 is 32, and plus 5 times 8 is 40 with the 0. So I have 8 copies of the number 50, or I have 8 copies of the number 400. Now let's add it up. If I have 3,200 plus 400 plus 8, I have 8, 0, 6, so 3,608. All right? Do you see the way I pulled this apart? Where those numbers came from? Do you see where this number comes from? It comes from the expanded form. Okay, moving on. So let's try it again. 400 plus 50 plus 1. Now we have to multiply that by 8 times 10. Oh my gravy. So we're going to now, oh wait, do you know what? Let's make this simpler because let's just turn this into, hold on one second. Let's make this easier. Let's make this easier on you, okay? Let's go. 451 times 1 times 8 times 10. So now let's distribute. So remember, first number to first number, second number to second number. So let's go 451 times 8 and 1 times 10. Okay? So 451 times 8, and you know how to do multi-digit multiplication by a single digit quite easily by now. And now 1 times 10. Oh, sorry, this is 10. 10 times 10. Hold on one second. Going. So 451 times 8 and 1 times 10. All right, now let's solve. So it's really hard to break up this number. You really are going to have to do 451 times 8. So you're going to have to go here, 451 times 8. 8, here's 40, here's 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and we are kind of using the numbers from up here. So you should end up with the same number. Okay, so 3,608 times 10, which should give you 36,000. You have to move it over by tens, right? 080. 36,080. Now, let's go to the next one. So instead of multiplying by 1, you're going to multiply that by 10. So we're going to take this 0 out. So we're going to go 451 times 10 times 8 times 10. Now we're going to distribute. And we're going to get 451 times 8 again. We already know that answer. Times 10 times 10. So we know 451 times 8, we know that's 3,608. And now we're going to multiply it by 100. So it's going to get 100 times bigger. Remember here, it got 10 times bigger. Okay, so now we're going to add 2 zeros, right? 360,800. 360,800. Finally, now we're multiplying. We're taking those zeros out. So 451 times 10 times 8 times 100. So we're going to get rid of that 10 and those two. That's where this is coming from. So we know what we're going to use, the distributive property. And we're going to get 451 times 8 times 10 times 100. And we're going to get 3,608 times now 1,000. So it's becoming 1,000 times bigger. So now we're going 3, 6, 0, 8, 1, 2, 3. And we end up with 3,608,000. So it is 1,000 times bigger. Take a look at that. Any question? Problem set. So what you're going to do is think about 23 ones and 2 tens. What is that going to end up being? So think about 23 ones is 2 tens, 3 ones times 2 tens. Breaking that up, how many tens would you end up? Okay, so this is what you're going to do here. You're going to use your knowledge of place value, units, and basic facts. Then here, determine if these equations are true or false. So your answer needs to have either true or false. And then defend your answer by writing, this is why it is false. This is why it is true. You're going to give an answer. You have to actually write with words. You have to write true or false and tell me why. Then on the back side, the same thing. Then right here, find the products. So you're just going to go through and find the products. Should be real easy. The next part, Ripley told his mom that multiplying whole numbers by multiples of 10 was easy because you just count zeros in the factors and put them in the product. He used these two examples to explain his strategy. Now, you need to look at his two strategies. Ripley's mom said his strategy will not always work. Why? Ripley's strategy will not always work because, okay? Then the Canadian side of Niagara Falls has a flow rate of 600,000 gallons per second. How many gallons of water flows over the waterfall in 1 minute? So 1 minute is equal to how many seconds? So problem set, using place value. Here you need to write true or false and defend your answer, explaining why. Here you are going to use your find the product, showing your thinking. Explain why Ripley's strategy may not always work. The important thing here is knowing that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds and finding out how much money they spend altogether. On the back here, yes, that is a template. It is just a resource for you to use.